Hi, welcome to Metaverse Brands. I'm your host, Stephen DiPianco. Today, we're welcoming Nate Spell from Barrier 4. So Barrier 4 is a production studio that creates promotional content, handles community management, and influencer strategies for brands that are interested in activating on Roblox. They've worked with awesome brands like NARS Cosmetics, Nickelodeon, Bakugan, LG, UEFA, Stranger Things, so many cool brands. We had a really great conversation about building community, leveraging Discord, creating fan art, free game codes, influencers, game trailers hitting 2 million views. So much awesome stuff that I'm excited to share with you. But first, just want to take a moment to thank everyone who has listened to the podcast, who has shared their feedback. Really appreciate it. If you're liking the episode, please be sure to rate it, to review it. It really helps us out a lot. And if you want to keep up with new episodes, be sure to subscribe. You can also sign up to my Metaverse newsletter at my website, metaversemarcom.io. All right, let's jump into my conversation with Nate. All right, here we go. We're going to jump right into this conversation. Welcome, Nate, to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Excited to have this conversation, learn more about what you do and how you're working with brands on Roblox. So just to kick things off, can you just share a little bit about sort of you and your company, Barrier 4?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Nate Spell, based in Pendleton, Indiana. We're recording this in my physical location for our Metaverse company, but I'm the only one here, so it doesn't matter that much. But yeah, so I run Barrier 4. We're a full service video production studio for the Metaverse. And the Metaverse, I guess, if you're unfamiliar, is, it's the next generation or the next phase of the internet and how people interact online. And we've been building in this space, honestly, since I was 12 years old. So I joined Roblox back in 2012, and I've seen this space grow from, solo developers building, survive the zombie apocalypse to now, Walmart is building a Roblox game. NFL, like all these huge brands are now in this space that I grew up in. So to kind of backtrack a little bit, Barrier 4, we're a team of 8 people, film school graduates, animators, video editors. We've all been doing this our entire life. We all grew up on this platform. The entire team combined, we have close to 100 years on Roblox and in the gaming space. And I don't know, it's been really, really interesting seeing this space change and grow, because we've seen it literally from the very start.
Yeah, and so when do you think brands started to or did you start to notice brands entering the space as like a player on the platform? And then when did you decide to start this company to start working and helping those brands?
Yeah. So to answer the first question, when I really started to see this huge, I guess, paradigm shift, and when everyone saw the opportunity in Roblox and elsewhere, was honestly within the past 2 or 3 years, 3 years being like the earliest. It feels like, obviously it started off as a trend. Like, it is a cool thing to build an experience and have your own branded experience in Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite. And people started to realize that, and it was just kind of a snowball effect, and everyone wanted in on that opportunity. So really only started seeing it in the past 2 or 3 years. And then to answer your second question, how I started Barrier 4 and why I did, kind of to just go back in time a little bit, I used to run a video production studio, and this was in person, filming with small businesses around Indiana. I filmed a few campaign videos for mayors and so on. But then COVID happened. Everything got shut down, and all my gigs disappeared pretty much overnight. And I had nothing. Lost all of my revenue. Had nowhere to go. Was literally locked inside. So, having built connections with people over the 10 plus years I've been on Roblox, I decided that I have all this video gear. I'm going to start interviewing these cool developers doing cool things on Roblox, getting their stories and throw it up on YouTube. It'll give people something to watch during this lockdown, and it'll be an opportunity to share cool stories on Roblox. So I started doing that. That's recording interviews. I would actually go into Roblox, film their games, get cool shots, and I grew a decent following, and eventually one of these game developers really, really liked how one of the episodes came out. They saw this cool cinematography in their game. They loved the editing, the fast-paced music, and like, can you make me a game trailer? And I'm like, well, yeah, of course, that sounds awesome. They're like, we'll pay you for it. I'm like, even better. So this was emergency response to Liberty County. They're a police, fire department, EMS roleplay game. And I had this gear, so I'm like, hey, let's like incorporate an in-person element to this trailer. So I reached out to my local police department and literally asked, I said, can you stage a police chase?
Oh, geez.
And my vision was get this staged police chase. I'll have my brother-in-law, who is the guy who's going to run from the cops. I'll have him step on the gas, floor it, cop turn his lights and sirens on, and then as they pass, I'll whip the camera around in person and then do the same exact thing in game. So we set up a police chase in the game and had a seamless transition from in-person to in-game, freaking just go into this awesome police chase in an awesome trailer. And that was my first ever game trailer for Roblox. And I really, after that point, I mean, this video now has 2 million views on YouTube.
Wow.
One of my best performing game trailers ever. The game since then has exploded. It's awesome. But that opened the door for so many more opportunities. People saw that we're making a game trailer. Hey, I need a game trailer. I know this guy who needs a game trailer. And around this time, studios, agencies, people bringing on brands noticed, or I guess I noticed, that there was a gap between like these agencies can build games, but they don't have the capacity right now or the experience to create content and game trailers and promotional material, because Roblox is a different kind of space to create content for. And I knew that space. So, I mean, started working with these agencies, and from then on, it just started to, again, snowball effect. Everyone needed this, and it's just a huge opportunity, and we took advantage of it.
That's awesome. I love that you were able to convince the local police to help you by being in this trailer for some. Did they even know what Roblox was? Like, did you explain this, or no? You're just like,
they had no idea. They just said they thought being in a game trailer would be freaking cool. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna do that, and it turned out okay, I think.
wow, yeah, and I think and I appreciate how at the very beginning you're like, hey, here's what the metaverse is, right? It's like the next iteration, the next evolution of the internet, and then right after that you're talking about your first game trailer, which is blending, right, the physical world and the digital world, right? It was able to meld those two things together, which is very much part of like this concept of the metaverse, the physical and digital coming closer together. And then in such a very creative way, harnessing your technical skills, your storytelling skills, your creativity to be able to put that together. That's really cool. And then what I like too is hearing about how suddenly like word of mouth, right, started to spread. Like it was like somebody, can you do this for us? You didn't even, maybe you weren't even thinking about it, right? Like of like doing that, but then suddenly a customer's like, hey, can you do this? We'll pay you. And then what's cool is like, oh, you built all these relationships too, like through the podcast, through creating, networking and doing all that just out of your own, it seems like, I don't know, boredom and interest
Yeah,
at the time. And then how that's led to this whole company. And so that's so cool to see how all these things are coming together.
Yeah.
The question, just in terms of, I want to get into some brand examples, but if we could talk a little bit about just like, you mentioned game trailers. So could you just walk through, hey, what is the menu of sort of services that you provide? Because, the way I kind of got in touch with you was like, I was working for a client and saying, oh man, who can help us create assets? To your point, it's like, it's it's not as straightforward as like, oh, we need to do a video shoot or a photo shoot. It's like items are getting designed from scratch, and like what should the backgrounds be like? What should the avatars be like? All of these things that me and my clients don't have expertise in. And so yeah, can you just talk about like, hey, what are the ways you typically help brands? What are the gaps that you're filling in?
Yeah. So being in business for 2 years plus, our offering has changed as we've seen the needs of these agencies and these brands open up. So one of the things you bring up is UGC design. Like this is a whole new area that a lot of people have no idea like what UGC even stands for, right? So we're seeing these needs pop up. So our menu definitely has changed. But right now we kind of cover three different areas. Community, so think Discord and building a fan base. Content, this is game trailers, social media content, social media management, short form, stuff like that. And then influencers is kind of that final pillar. Getting YouTubers, TikTokers, people to play your game, share your content, and utilize their fan bases to grow your audience, grow your game, and just really get people in that experience that you've built. So those are the three main areas we cover.
So yeah, any examples that you can share along whether NARS or otherwise of just like the types of work that that you do, whether it's game trailers and even just a little again into the nuances of, oh, like I have a brand, like, oh, I should probably have this, like, and I'm sure there's a lot of just like educating them on like what to do and then the creative behind it.
Sure. Yeah. Game trailers, they're obviously a huge aspect of Barrier 4. It's one of the main things that we do for branded experiences, individual game developers, or really just anyone with a game. Game trailers usually are about 30 seconds long, and that's due to a Roblox limitation. So if you want to have your game trailer on the game page, right? So it's going to be the first thing players see. It's going to be their first impression of your game. Roblox limits you to 30 seconds to include that on the page. Obviously, if you want to just throw it on social media, you can do, however long you want. But we've also found that 30 seconds is really that sweet spot for keeping the viewer engaged throughout the entire video. 1 minute trailers, a little bit too long. Attention spans for most people now, I guess like the common thing is less than a goldfish. So people don't really tend to watch long form videos. And it's crazy that a 1 minute video is considered long form at this point. But they're used to that TikTok, scroll 15-second video, scroll 15-second video. And that's kind of like the concept we have in mind when we're creating these game trailers. Before I get too in detail, the way we produce our trailers is we like to keep it authentic. And example of that is we only film in-game. So we film in-game and then we animate in-game. So we'll take the actual in-game assets and utilizing Blender plus a plugin called Moon Animator, we will animate the actual in-game assets in the actual environment. So we capture pretty much what authentic gameplay would look like. On top of that, we will film actual gameplay. And that's getting cool drone-like shots, following players, getting POV, really showing off that cool gameplay that the developer put a ton of effort into. We do this because we really believe that the game trailer is a first impression for a potential player. So when they get to your game page, you can show cool rendered thumbnails. Like those are great, but it doesn't really give them an idea of what that gameplay is like, or like why they should play your game. So with these first impression game trailers, we want to show the authentic gameplay. What are they getting into? Obviously, we make it cool, fast paced, and easy to watch, in addition to the game being awesome. But that's why we keep it pretty much filmed in game and all authentic there. An example of one that isn't as authentic necessarily is a 3D animated trailer. So I think Walmart Land. Walmart Land modeled the Roblox characters from scratch. So they didn't even necessarily look like Roblox characters. The animation compared to the gameplay are two different experiences, right? So that game trailer, honestly, like if you showed that to me and then I played the game, I wouldn't have a solid correlation there. But it's an awesome marketing piece, right? Like it's something that's awesome to push and build hype around the game, but it's not an authentic piece to the game. And that's just how we operate.
Yeah, just to kind of go deeper into the trailers, and you've made, I imagine, a number of trailers at this point. Yeah, what does a successful what do you think makes a successful trailer? I mean, I understand like you're saying that you can go like more realistic to, or like tied to what the actual gameplay is versus not. But when you think about like, hey, what's a good game trailer for you? Is it one that's like about like, oh, that drives the most gameplays, that gets the most views on its own? How do you think about what a good game trailer is?
Yeah, I think that is determined by a few things. Honestly, like what is your goal with the game trailer? Is it to bring in players? Is it to start that following on Twitter? Is it to just get the most amount of views as possible? Obviously, like each of those have their own like numeric like KPI that you can like assign to it. Um, I think for us, if I were to like put a blanket statement on what a successful game trailer looks like, it's one that gets people excited and they share it. They comment on it. They think, I mean, they're just really engaged with the trailer on social media. So that's like one. Obviously, view count is awesome. So I love seeing trailers, passing that, 100,000 view mark, especially when they have no existing following. Um, that 2 million views, that's always a good number to have. And then to kind of top it all off, and what the ultimate goal with our game trailers is getting conversions, getting people in the games.
Right.
And that number is, obviously something that is a little tougher to track. But it's example with emergency response. When we started their game trailer, and I'm actually going to pull up stats if I have them real quick. I don't. So with emergency response, they started off with about 1 million total visits, and they had less than 2,000 concurrent players.
Mm-hmm.
We created that trailer, it blew up, and if I pull up the game now, let's just so I have like an accurate number. And since then, we've done several trailers. Right now, they're at about 10,000 concurrent and 460 million visits,
Wow.
and that's all in about 2 years. So just seeing that growth and the trailer kind of being like right there, right before that spike is obviously a good example of what a successful game trailer looks like. It got hype, it got the views, and it got the players.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. Having key marketing materials to promote the experiences is can lead to huge success, as you're pointing out. So just to kind of wrap up with just Barrier 4 and brands, what have been your sort of biggest takeaways, lessons, having worked with a number of brands at this point?
Biggest takeaways. I actually just did an AAR for a few of them, and one of the biggest ones for me, the biggest takeaways was don't lose momentum. And that was in the sense of building this community that we did for NARS Cosmetics. Is like we would do these weekly events, and eventually, like one week, we stopped. We just didn't host one. I think it was a holiday. I don't even. It might not have even been a holiday. We just didn't host one that week, and our submission count went from 30 screenshots or 30 fan art submissions to about 3. So we lost all of our momentum there and had to rebuild from scratch. That's a very direct example of it, but I think it applies to just the experiences in general. Is once you really start to push that game, you get that game trailer out, you get that hype built on social media, you got to keep it. You got to keep building that. Otherwise, and we've seen this with a lot of experiences on Roblox, I'm not going to name anything specifically, but they will have like this awesome launch, and then a couple weeks later there's 50 players in the game, right? Obviously there's some other like aspects to why that is, like maybe the gameplay isn't that awesome, but from a marketing standpoint, maintain the momentum, don't lose that. That's a huge takeaway for me.
Cool. No, thanks. That seems like it seems like it's so much work. It seems like it's easy to lose momentum if it's right, if it takes so much effort and it's so new for people and they might not realize all the lift that's required. And so having access to like help from a company like Barrier 4 can go a long way to making actually it achievable to keep that momentum going.
Sure. And we actually skipped over this last pillar, the influencer pillar.
Right.
And I'll go real quick with this. Is again using NARS Cosmetics. So we just wrapped up their experience, and it was one of our best uh, experiences so far in terms of like direct results. Was we do influencer strategy, right? So that's putting together what will influencers be doing, why do we need them, what do we need them for, what kind of content are they going to be pushing, and when. So we put together that strategy. We also have a list of like 400 something star creators on Roblox with really in-depth audience details and different types of metrics that we can pull from for different types of experiences. Example, if NARS Cosmetics has a more female heavy audience in the 10 to 15 range, we can break down our list and find influencers that would be great for that. Alternatively, if like the NFL built a Roblox experience, like we'd pick, probably a heavier male audience and can really break that down. So we do influencer strategy, we identify influencers, and a huge takeaway we had with NARS Cosmetics, and part of the reason there was such a massive growth in our community was build UGC into your strategy and your influencer strategy. So don't just have UGC, build it around your influencers. So have, I'm going to use Megan Plays as an example. Use Megan Plays and have like Megan Plays hair that her followers can redeem in the game, right? If you go to YouTube and search up NARS Cosmetics, 90% of the videos are about UGC and limited items and items that players can equip on their characters. So that in itself shows how big the accessory in UGC plays a part in influencers. So definitely build UGC into that. It could be also codes that your influencers can give to their players. Just think about UGC in partnership with influencers. Also, and I know this is like an industry thing, but influencers cost money. So definitely go into it expecting that. You can absolutely do organic influencer marketing, which we did some of that, setting them products, giving them in-game perks. That's definitely a way, but you're not going to get the big fish and the big players without a little bit of budget.
Yeah, no, that sounds like, and we live in this world where, yeah, influencers are so important to brands and reaching audiences in an authentic way, and that's very much true on Roblox, where, yeah, so much of the sort of interactions and excitement around new experiences, new UGC items is happening on YouTube with people, yeah, sharing on TikTok, sharing what they're exploring, what they're playing with their audience. And so, yeah, such a huge connection there between YouTube and Roblox. So thanks for calling that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So just to we'll do a quick speed round and then kind of wrap things up. So, what is your favorite metaverse platform?
Roblox.
All right. And then within Roblox, do you have a favorite game?
Man, now that it's become my job, I've not had a ton of time to play it. I've mentioned it before. Emergency Response, I think, is like at the top of my list.
Cool. And then if you like either your current avatar or future avatar, what's your ideal avatar? What if you could be anyone or anything, what would it be?
My current avatar is pretty solid. I don't know if you can like attach a link or something, but he's a dude without a head, got a red top hat. I think he's pretty solid.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Nate, for sharing about yourself, about your history, about Barrier 4. What's a good way for people to learn more or follow your work or get in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, our website, barrier4.us. So that's barrier4 spelled out .us. Or you can go to Twitter. My Twitter handle is can't find shirt. Context behind that is my Roblox username is where is my shirt. And I'm not going to give you any more context behind why that's my username. But can't find shirt, and then check out our website, barrier4.us.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much, Nate.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Wow. That was an awesome conversation with Nate. So much information. We definitely got really deep into the weeds there. And I think the perspective that he brings from not only being a player who's been on the platform for a decade, but also just working with brands, helping them navigate the space. It's just really showed me that for me, the key takeaway is just like, there's so much work and effort that goes into building a successful community experience. It's one that really requires lots of planning, lots of forethought into how you deliver value, how you keep fans engaged, how you have a really kind of two-way dialogue between you and those that are in the community that really care and want to express themselves and participate and get recognized for their involvement in the community. But even though that's a lot of work, when it's executed well, like in the case of NARS Color Quest, that can really lead to millions of visits and thousands of really engaged super fans. And that type of engagement, those types of results, really are what sets the winners and losers apart in this space right now. So if you're interested in learning more about what I'm up to, you can find me, Steven DiPianco, on LinkedIn. You can also check out my company, Metaverse Marcom. We help entertainment and sports brands enter the metaverse with strategy, analytics, and marketing consulting services. Our website is metaversemarcom.io. There we're publishing our research on top metaverse brand activations, and you can sign up for our newsletter. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and rate it. And if you want to keep up with new episodes, please be sure to subscribe and sign up for my Metaverse newsletter at my website, metaversemarcom.io. All right, thanks so much. I'll see you in the Metaverse.